Hi, everybody. Welcome to the new normal. I'm your host, Lisa Davis, aka Like Queen Lisa. Today is a Truth Tuesday with my buddy Satoshi Sean. So we will be looking into trusts in the Fed. I've got some questions. They seem to be talking about that a lot, and also, what was the other thing? Oh my goodness, you'll have to watch to find out. Give me a like, share this video. I'll be right back right after this. Happy Tuesday, Sean. Good to see you.
Hey, good to see you too.
Is that a better Happy Tuesday?
Huh?
Was that a better Happy Tuesday the second time
around? It was
around?
better than the other one, yeah. You sounded
I get back from
like
school.
It was Invasion of the Body Snatchers or something.
Yes.
It still scares me just to break. I watched that when I was like 5.
Why would your mother let you watch that?
She didn't. I was at my girlfriend's house. And
you were 5. You didn't have a girlfriend.
I had a lot of girlfriends because I didn't think girls had cooties. I was raised by a single mother.
Ah, so okay.
It was completely different for me. All the boys were like, girls are gross. I'm like, no, they're not. They are strong and independent, and they pay for our bills and do everything. What are you talking about? But yeah, but this girl, Michelle Pimpinelli, yeah, that was her name, Michelle Pimpinelli. She had like 5 older brothers.
Only in Boston.
Like way older, like teenager and like upper teens. And Invasion of the Body Snatchers was on TV, and they're like, hey, you want to watch this, Sean? Come on. I watched this other movie called about snakes.
So in other words, you were being babysat by some teenage boys who happen to have a little sister.
No, actually, there's a funny story.
You were having a different experience.
So I was walking to my girlfriend's house as a 5-year-old child, and a huge biker gang came driving down the street. So I wave at them, and they pull over. They're like, hey, kid, how you doing? I'm like, good. So they're like, where are you going? I was like, I'm going to my girlfriend's house. So, I mean like 15 bikers. So they're like, hop on. I'm like, okay, yes, sir. So I get on now, looking back, that was crazy to get on it. And this is the 70s. So bikers weren't as cuddly and friendly then. They were, Hell's Angels, and they were bad guys.
Yeah. Runs for Toys for Tots. And
none of that stuff had happened yet. Yeah. It wasn't a hobby back then. It was a lifestyle. So I get on. So they bring me to my girlfriend's house, who her dad ran a business. I don't know what it was, but they had a house and then a big fenced area in the middle of town with like work trucks. I don't remember what he did. But so they come into the area, all these bikers. Her dad's like standing on the porch upstairs above their, business. Like, what the hell is this? This little kid gets off and I'm like, thanks, Snake, or whatever. They drive off. And I just walk in, this little, hey, is Michelle here? And they're like, who are those people? Those are my friends. Is your daughter here? It was very hilarious. Still,
you have some crazy stories.
I thought it was like really cool, but now looking back, I mean, her dad must have thought, I don't even know I don't know what I would think. Some 5-year-old kid pulls up with a biker gang and gets dropped off. That was hilarious. But yeah, then her brothers were always like bad movies, man. There's one movie called just SSSS. I have had to look it up over time. It's about just snakes, and that this guy was taking a shower and somebody put a snake in the shower with him, and he's just taking a shower and he steps on the snake. And this is, there's like not special effects and computer stuff back then. So it's a real snake. He really stepped on it and then it bit him. So forever, still in the shower sometime, man. I look down and I'm worried about a snake in the shower with me.
Interesting. I would not. Yeah, that's why I'm not a camper.
I was not 5 feet tall when I was 5 years old. I was big, but which was really bad because I remember I was, what was I? I was in the first grade, and like a fifth grader was like beat me up, and Lefko was his name, piece of shit. That's another hilarious story about Lefko. But he would like mess with me, and I'm like, you know, I'm in the first grade, dude. What are you doing? But I was big, and then a lot of people thought I was stupid because I was so big. And then, I would tell them how old I am. They're like, "Yeah, okay, buddy, yeah, sure," and they just thought I was lying. So, but yeah. So this dude Lefko gave me a black eye. Piece of crap. I hate that kid. Still hate that kid. Look him up.
Crazy. I'm trying to find this video that I was trying to find. So
I was giving you time.
I know. Thank you. I
Blabbering.
appreciate it. I can find it, but it's in my Telegram. And anyway, I didn't want to screen share all that, but I guess I will. Let me
I
see.
can tell you how I got Lefko arrested when I was like 7.
No, it's okay. We'll pass.
Okay.
But thanks. I appreciate the help.
Okay.
You're very thoughtful. So I was looking at this. Oh no. Can you guys hear that?
Today's hearing is about trust.
No.
Barely.
Does it go big when I click on it?
No.
No, it just stays the same size. Okay.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, and thank you to our witnesses for being here today. Today's hearing is about trust. Whose trust has been broken, who broke that trust, and how all of us work together to reaffirm and rebuild that trust. Trust is a key principle that the modern banking system is built on. Families and savings are safe in the U.S. banking system. Congress entrusts our federal banking regulators with the power to supervise, regulate, and examine banks. We trust you to be the cops on the beat, and I'm giving you the tools to do that job. The failure of Silicon Valley Bank on the Federal Reserve's watch very clearly calls into question whether or not some of that trust was misplaced. Make no mistake, the lion's share of the blame is on incompetent bank executives. And it's outrageous that these people took bonuses and sold stock in the days leading up to the bank's failure. We should hold these executives accountable for the fullest extent of the law and claw back those bonuses and stock sales. I'm co-sponsoring a bill to do just that. But as I laid out in a letter to you, Vice Chair Barr, that, by the way, was signed by 11
hold on.
spanning the ideological spectrum.
Can you rewind that a few seconds to hear what she just said? Did she say she wanted to take away their bonuses?
Yeah. Claw back their bonuses and their whatever.
That's a little bit of overreach, but I understand the anger, but...
Well, I don't know. They knew this was coming.
Back those bonuses and stock sales. I'm co-sponsoring a bill to do
stock
that.
sales.
But as
so they knew this was happening, and they all went, heck, I'm going to get mine, because they knew about it. So
if you're going to charge someone under existing law, but the government be like, no, we don't like that, we'll take back your money or redo that deal. That's
I know, but so I'm going to explain why they're going to be able to do this.
That, by the way, was signed by 11 other senators spanning the ideological spectrum. It's gravely concerning that retail participants, literally just regular everyday people, were able to figure out that something was wrong with Silicon Valley Bank before your regulators took appropriate action.
So part of this is that goodness, that looks terrible. Why is it doing that? Okay, so I wanted to talk about trust. And you guys know I've been reading that Fruit from a Poisonous Tree. We found out that Yellen, who Secretary of Treasury, actually her salary comes from the IMF. The Fed has a treasury or a board of trustees. Most of these banks are run by boards of trustees, and trustees have a fiduciary responsibility, which means that they must put the need of, or the like whatever the thing is, has to be prioritized over their own personal wants, needs, any of that. Fiduciary responsibility means if you are operating in a fiduciary responsibility. So if I am a fiduciary to Satoshi Sean, I can't do what's best for Lisa. I have to do what's only best for Satoshi.
You have to do what's best for Sean first.
Yes.
Yeah.
Prioritize. And these clearly were not doing that. If they were aware of this happening, and a lot of people saw it happening, and that's why they went and got their money out. See, that's what she was saying at the end. You can't tell me that regular people saw this coming and you guys didn't see it coming, and you went and gave everybody quick, get your bonuses and sell your stocks, because they did know it was coming. And so most likely they are trustees, and have a fiduciary responsibility, and so therefore can be held accountable, but only by another trustee or the beneficiary. Well, who is the beneficiary? The depositors, typically. I would think it would be the depositors in that case. I think it would depend on how the trust is written, I guess. Anyway, I just am hearing all this language around all this.
I think I'm really like keyed in on words. I think words matter.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's especially when you start getting into just the whole being awake kind of thing, and the new aginess that I've learned so much about in the past like 10 years that you've been growing up with, but it was all kind of closed off to me. Just language in general. When you have something written down, you spell it, and that spell comes from literally magic, making there's power in the word. It's a spell.
God spoke.
So I think it's very, very important.
All frequency, yeah.
And I've noticed that a lot of the bullshit words that people have created, especially Trump, I think the word fake news, worst thing ever that's ever come out.
Yeah, we're not going to go there today.
If it's a lie, it's a lie.
I'm not doing that with you right now.
What
I'm talking about is trusts and the Fed and what's happening.
But here's I'm getting to this point.
Okay.
They're starting to use like the real words, the original words. It's not fake news. It's a lie. You have told a lie. A lot of politicians now it's not misspoke. I mean, come on. That is the dumbest thing ever.
No,
they're starting to use real words. And then I saw Yellen before Congress, and she looked, it's funny that this is an example, but she looked like Joe Biden. I would say she looked like, confused old lady, but she looked like that level of confused. And they were asking like simple questions. Like you said, how did, the depositors and people see this and you didn't?
Mm-hmm.
And there's no answer. The only answer is you did see it. You did know it. And you use the information to your profit, or you just tried to hide it.
Mm-hmm.
Or even if you don't try, even if it's not being hidden, you just don't do your job and you don't acknowledge it. But I've noticed that politicians, especially politicians, they're starting to use real words: lie, incompetence, cover up.
Mm-hmm.
It's not racist. They're real words that are not softened.
This also goes to what we've been talking about. Remember when I stumbled across the whole, where's the Bible when they're saying their oath? And then somebody said, oh, well, they make an oath to the Constitution. Well, no, but then they can't be held accountable to this oath. So what value is there in the oath? So in Oklahoma, there's a case, and it's been pretty public here, where this this lawmaker was arrested for DUI. And he's like, you can't arrest me, and there's going back and forth about the language, and it's all language. And they're saying, and so they're trying to educate people. Wait, what do you mean? What constitutes legislative immunity? Yeah, which is, I don't know if that's the same as sovereign immunity or if that's different than the sovereign immunity that we were looking at.
Just like, context clues. It looks like it's the most un-American thing I've ever heard. Unconstitutional. It's like, I can make, they shall pass no laws that don't govern them, that they're immune from. That's literally what it says. Legislative immunity. You can legislate yourself to be immune from something. That doesn't.
This says because they're in session, he could not be detained, is what he was saying, even though he's public drunk and should have. And so the officer says, so at this point right now, the way I'm reading it, I'm not arresting you at the state legislature, the officer says. And the representative says, you can't detain me. He says, I can, and I am right now. This is the second time in Oklahoma. So this is the second time one has claimed, and it's both been for drunk things. So come to Oklahoma, have a great time, but don't drive, drink. Bad idea. Let's see. Second time an Oklahoma lawmaker has claimed legislative immunity in the face of an arrest.
It's like I was talking about passing a law about, you can't fart in people's faces in restaurants. You don't think you need a law, but now you got to make a law that's like you can't, be drunk if you're a legislator, and this, it's just odd that you would have to make a law for this kind of thing if that exists. If he can't be arrested, then they need to say, well, okay,
these are quotes.
Protect you for this.
Yeah, these are quotes from the event, supposedly. The officer says, as far as I know, the regular session ended in May, which I guess he means last year. Yes, sir, Representative Martinez said, but you're saying right now you're in some kind of special session. Oh, this was the other one that got arrested in October. So that one, when he was being arrested, he was trying to say, you can't arrest me. And they said, it was over in May. This happened in October. And he said, but you're saying right now you're in some kind of special session, the officer asked. We've been in special session the whole time, sir. It never ends, Martinez says. So that was the other guy who got arrested. After being sworn in, each lawmaker is given a legislative identification card, which includes Article 5, Section 22 of the Oklahoma Constitution. Senators and representatives shall, except for treason, felony, or breach of the peace, be privileged from arrest during the session of the legislature, and in going and returning to from the same for any speech or debate in either house shall not be questioned in either place.
Okay, go back.
Go back.
What is breach of the peace?
Except for treason, felony, or breach of the peace.
Breach of the peace that sounds like public affray, disturbing the peace. So
they could probably get him for that.
Disorderly, drunken disorderly would,
yeah,
I think would qualify under that.
Most likely.
But I'm not a lawyer.
I'm not a lawyer, nor am I a policy man. Let's see. Experts say this provision is not to get out of jail free card. Instead, most experts interpret the original language to allow lawmakers to do their work freely and not be arrested while on their way to vote for specific legislation. It was written to prevent political retaliation. However, the law does not allow lawmakers to avoid arrest or make them untouchable during legislative session, which runs from February to May. I think that the word session means, I think what the word session means is that literally when the House legislators are going to and from or in a session on the floor of the House or in Senate committee meeting, literally on their way to perform their official duty for the people of Oklahoma, said Bob Burke, constitutional law expert and author. I just thought this was very interesting because it was it's bringing attention to, what does think bigger than this? This is planting a seed. Oh, wait, now there's some conversation started a little bit.
It also wakes people up to the us versus them, the class system that people don't want to admit.
And then when we did the count, when we had our choices counted, and those representatives may be not held accountable for their decisions because, well, they're untouchable.
And I think when you also, if you're, I think on the national level, they're done. I watched this the CIA agent just talk about a lot of stuff, which really kind of just made me think a little bit different this week. But one thing he said was that politicians, they may get into politics to make a difference or to serve or to to do better for the country. But
Mhm.
once they become a career politician, they're no longer for the people. It's a career. That's the first. It's like anything else. If you have a job, you're doing a job. But once it becomes a career, the career takes sometimes importance over your family. I mean, your kids may not want to move. Your wife doesn't want to move, but it is better for my career if we move and we, go to, take this opportunity. And we don't want to admit that or say that, but bluntly, for most people, their career comes first. You justify it by saying you're doing it for your family and, so they're still first. But if you wanted, if their happiness was, number one and paramount, you would probably not do a lot of the things. You wouldn't work the extra hours and so on and so forth.
Mhm.
And that's where like regrets come in later on. Oh, I wish I would have just taken,
Yeah, that's the famous
we
regret when
would
you're
have
laying
went
on your
camping
deathbed.
for
Yeah,
20 bucks
nobody
instead
says
of, me working 3 weeks of extra hours so we could go to, get a hotel and go on a weekend trip. So people do put the career first. And when it's a politician, it's a whole different level that our way of thinking isn't. That's what really I thought was so interesting about what I was hearing this guy say, is that their way of thinking is so different that we don't grasp it. It's a whole nother level, because when you have a career, but that career also gives you authority, power, and it's shady. So much of it is
well, and they
shady.
know the games, they know the rules of the game. Like when this section 5 article, or article 5 section 22
Mm-hmm.
of Oklahoma's constitution, and you know what, that's shame on us. How many of us have read each state's constitution? I haven't read the Oklahoma state constitution, and shame on me.
Yeah.
I mean, it's
So
definitely
proud to hear you
something
say
I'm
that.
going to do
So
now.
proud to hear you say that. Yeah.
I know you love the shame on me thing,
No, shame on
but
just people to say, "Oh, I should have
we've
done that.
got
I'm
that's
wrong."
how, yeah, we have
I
to.
haven't read the Texas Constitution. I'm going to today though.
Yeah, I'm going
Now.
to today. That's my thing. Like, if we want to be treated as an adult, if you don't want to be a child, if you want to, you can't have your cake and eat it too. You can't say, "Oh, not my problem. That's not my responsibility. Oh, I'm not going to worry about it," and then have an opinion about something. Like, you either do the work, get involved, be a part of something, and take responsibility for your life and the outcome. And that means educating yourself. And if the school didn't do it, it's not poor me and the school's fault. Open a damn book. You've got, YouTube is available for everyone. The
Also,
great
if
internet
you
is
don't
available
if
for
you don't
everyone.
use it, you lose it.
Right.
You can look at the erosions, but you talk about all the time the erosion of the parental influence in schools.
Mm-hmm.
And it's because people were just kind of lethargic. It's like,
It became a babysitting
you
service.
trust the system, and
Mm-hmm.
you can't trust the system because the system is designed and to increasingly give people more authority. Well, it's based on people running it, and people are not great. They need checks and balances, and if you don't really have that system in place, things are going to go awry. They're just going to go bad. Um, Government's terrible. We don't need it. But without a um, health department, would you trust going to different restaurants? There has to be some
Right.
kind of, and the market is great. The market does fix things. But when it comes to things like food
Oh,
and health,
I'm covering you.
without a health department, yeah, if a business, doesn't have good standards and they make people sick, people aren't going to go there and it's going to close. But they still made a bunch of people sick.
Mhm.
There needs to, I think, be certain safeguards. There needs to be limited, government. But I think the main role that it was all started for, when we started it, a couple hundred years ago, it's just to protect the citizens. It's not to govern the citizens. It's not to govern the citizens. We're supposed to be governing. We're not supposed to be controlled or governed. It's just supposed to be there to protect us, to protect our rights, and to protect our borders, our land. That's it.
Yeah.
That's all government's supposed to do.
One more quick thing before we go. FTX SBF guy got nailed, I guess, or they found a bribe that he sent to China for them to release some funds for their hedge fund or something like this. $40 million he received from China, and he released their hedge fund money or something like this. That was a big deal in the news today. I saw quickly at lunch. And then one thing I wanted to ask you about, because we talk about the crypto legislation, and you're talking about right now, like if we legislate ourselves or we regulate ourselves or whatever. And right now, instead of Congress doing their job and listening to we the people and helping make laws that we the people are instructing them to make, they are not doing their job, sitting on their laurels. And meanwhile, SEC is going into court with Coinbase. At the same time, the CFTC took Binance to court, and they're each trying to get to, it's like a tortoise and the hare race. Who's going to get to the end and have legislation completed first? And I think it's a partnership. But that's my conspiracy theory girl hat on. I think that they partnered up with their buddies, because who owns Coinbase? The COPA people. So they already have conversations with the SEC. They're already buddies. Allegedly, I'm saying all this allegedly. But so I think they can get in court and they can create legislation quickly that way and get to the end. And the CFTC can probably do the same thing with Binance. And then it's like, well, who gets to write the laws? Well, whoever gets to the finish line first. What are your thoughts on that?
Mark Williams just said something in the chat that blew my mind, and then he kind of had an aha down there. Yes, it does light and shadow, because I'm in a territory. I'm not allowed to vote for the president, which sucks. I'm like, what? I thought he was like in Canada or something, but
no, he's in Puerto Rico.
Yeah, mm-hmm. It's a weird, mm-hmm. a weird thing with Puerto Rico. I think when it comes to crypto, one of the best things is self-governance. And everyone's like, oh, we need it for this and for the SBF and for, hackers. We don't. I was hacked. What we need is education for lawmakers and law enforcement. I was hacked. They stole like a buttload of money from my crypto.com, right? Mm-hmm. And I didn't know what to do. Like, what do I do? Who do I call? If I called the cops, because I had a theft. If it was my bank account, easy, no problem, right? There's things in place. It's theft. There's already laws. We already have laws. We already have legislation for everything that we really need. We don't need anything really new. We don't need to reinvent the wheel. We just need to put a chassis.
Do you think crypto applies under those existing laws?
Right, but it has to be classified as an asset. my ex-father-in-law, state trooper, and it was like years and years ago. He said they got a call, had to go out to this dude's land, and this guy had rattlesnakes. He just raised rattlesnakes. That was what he did. He had a rattlesnake farm. He had all these like pits with tons of rattlesnakes. Sold the venom to the medical industry and all this kind of stuff. Somebody went and stole all the rattlesnakes out of one of the pits. So he calls the police, and my father-in-law, I don't know what to do. Like, it's snakes, it's wild snakes. Well, how much is it worth? What is, and this guy's, he said, oh, these are, it's worth like 50 grand or 100 grand that I, now I'm going to lose. I don't have all this one pit of snakes. I have 5 pits. I make, $200,000 a year. One pit gone. It's worth 50 grand. So to the man, it's a simple thing. This is worth this much to me. Someone stole it. But to the cop, to the law, they're like, I don't know. It's like someone stole his dog. That's how.
Well, and if he had it insured,
yeah, but then
then
how would
that
you
would have
insure it?
helped.
So it's
Well,
but
the
that's how I
insurance
think that's how
company works
crypto
that
is
out.
now on a
Yeah.
global scale. When it comes to the police, when it comes to they don't know what it is or how to classify it.
Mhm.
So I literally had it was worth this much money in US dollars if I sold it, and they took it. They turned everything into Bitcoin and then took it out. But I know if I call the cops, they're going to come out. I'm going to have to explain what it is for 15, 20 minutes, how it works. Then at worst, they're going to call the IRS, and I'm going to have a bunch of weird stuff and have to answer more questions. And then they're not going to know what to do.
Mhm.
It's not like even if they have a cyber crimes department, it's about identity theft or, harassment online or, porn or something. It's not. I felt literally so helpless. There was nothing I could do, even though there's already laws in place. And I was almost like, we need more legislation to protect us, and we don't. It
Yeah.
was theft. Someone stole my money. We just need to be able to have a process or what's it called? An infrastructure,
Protocol?
a legal infrastructure to protect
Okay.
people. But we already have the laws. We already have the laws.
So you don't see the SEC or the CFTC being the appropriate legal infrastructure to regulate those laws?
No, I think I don't think they need anything super crazy new or weird. I think it's just more of a power grab, especially with where we're at now. They're in a sinking boat. Everyone could see it's falling apart. It fell apart in 2008, and they plugged the holes and they stopped it from sinking. But it's a battered and tattered ship. It's gonna go down, and everybody knows it's going to go down eventually. You can just look at the chart and what fiat has done since its inception. It's never gone up. It's just gone down. Eventually, we're going to go underwater. So I think the grab is going to be to have as much control. I think the CBDCs are obviously, they saw crypto, they saw Satoshi's vision, digital money, peer-to-peer digital currency. They're like, this is going to be it. We're going to get knocked out. And I think that's a lot like the voting thing that you always talk about. Eventually, I think it's going to come back around to the
number of people.
the precious metals, to what real money is. The what is it? The analog. When people see how little control they have, it's going to go back to
Paper,
barter, silver, real shit.
And when I was talking about the choice of counting our choices for the paper, I don't think paper will matter. I mean, it'll help with the transition on the money thing, but I don't think people will trust paper anymore in the future.
Let's talk about explaining something to aliens. I was watching this one goofy show. It's just British sci-fi comedy thing, and these aliens come take over the Earth, and they don't understand why people are pissed and fighting back and everything, and they're asking this guy to help them, just be an advisor. And he's like, oh no, I'd rather not. And it's like, what about the paper? You want somebody to pay? You want the paper? We got lots of paper. And they're talking about it's copy paper or something. Then they just dump this bag of British pounds on the TV. It's like, whoa, oh, paper, okay. It's yeah, we got lots of this paper. You want it? What about, we have lots of residential dwellings just opened up. You want one of those? So yeah, but to even a kid, if you just talk about, hey, you see this paper with this dead guy on it, people will kill for this.
Doesn't that look great? Yeah, very exciting. Yeah, I don't think kids would fall for that crap. in the chat, Light Shadow was talking about this. The Kenyan president was ruling to bring down the dollar, talking about using the Kenya shilling. Let's see. Kenyan shilling, where is it? Giving you advice. Market is going to be different in a couple of weeks.
Mm-hmm.
And so I
guess
guess
if you got dollars, you need to get in something else.
Yeah, they're telling
Market's
people
going to be
that,
different in a couple of weeks.
that if you're hoarding your US, so we should start seeing a lot of those US dollars that are overseas and that have been hoarded, thinking that they were valuable or that they held value, should start flooding back to the US. And I watched a Mike Maloney video recently that he did it like 5 years ago or more. It may have been even more than that, but he basically was talking about kind of predicting how this was going to fall down, and it's so dead on. And I shared it on the Telegram group for Team Mighty that's in the link of this description of this video. But he talks about how like the dollars will start flooding back from overseas, and then we'll just start printing again, and we go.
And that's that BRICS money hasn't even really come about yet. Can you imagine how much dollars are going to be traded to buy that just within those countries? It's going to be massive. Africa's kind of interesting in the past couple. When you're talking about words and things that they've done, not reported by a lot, but it's pretty amazing to me what the people and the leaders. I said leaders. See, I didn't say servants or they've. We need to get over my channel, but we can talk about it over there. But Kenya, where else? A couple of different countries that just, when it comes to like the UN and woke ideology, just like stood up and said, no, thank you.
Yeah, the EU, something came out today about the EU just made this, woke announcement about no diesel or gasoline cars after 2035. I'm like, there's no way. I mean, it's just so ridiculous.
All right, I'm going to jump over. I love you guys. Remember to crush the like button. Come over, subscribe, all that.
On Sean's channel. And make sure you get your tickets to join us at the Team Mighty celebration on April 21st and 22nd in Oklahoma City. We've got a bunch of people coming. It's for a great cause, and we're going to have a great time. So we'll see you all there. Take care.
Are you buying and selling cryptos on the same laptop that you're using to browse the internet, read your email, and visit social media sites? If so, you're exposing your cryptos to theft. Whenever you're online, you're at risk of getting hacked and having your identity stolen. How would you feel if someone stole all of your cryptos? What would that do to your finances? Guard your cryptos with a safe and secure laptop from Calyx Solutions. Each laptop is set up just for you and your cryptos, and then we walk you through exactly how it works. Don't risk the security of your cryptos. Order a crypto laptop from Calyx Solutions now to secure